get more of a female audience, but I don't think that may happen. I do get a lot of male people watching my channel, and but primarily I want to talk about a few things that I've probably talked about before. But here's what I want to talk about: as a 52-year-old female, parking spaces. Um, to confront somebody parking in a space usually turns out pretty bad. So that well, I normally would not do that. However, if you park in a space, hold on, everybody. I also want to thank a couple people. Okay, everybody, I'm back. Pink Angel here, 52-year-old female. Um, I'm I have a lot to, to discuss. First of all, I want to shout out to JC at Banner University Medical Center. I was in there for some health issues. Not going to say what, but the care they gave me, the care she gave me as a patient was really great. They had a couple people there that were not so helpful. But here's the thing I wanted to discuss. You know, parking spaces are meant for people with disabilities. Now, ARS 283 and ARS 284 specifically state that it is not legal to park there long term if you don't have an insignia on your vehicle on the plate or you don't have the placard. Now, I have both because I am physically disabled. I have a prosthetic on the right leg uh, due to an accident. So I want to ask everybody out there that's listening to be respectful of people that may be disabled. You're working, you have to make your money, you stop in at Quick Trip, you park in a handicap, not thinking about it. You go in, you get a candy bar, and you come out. Okay, and I know several people that are disabled that do drive, and they normally have to either wait till the person leaves, so they come out and get in their car and they don't have the spot, or they have to park somewhere else. Now, yesterday I was at a automotive store with my spouse, and there was a few cars, two cars, both. One was a Mercedes, a silver Mercedes, and there's a little Geo Metro parked in the handicap. Now, neither car had plate or placard insignia. They were parked in that spot, And of course, yes, I did video the cars, but I didn't go up to the cars. I didn't stand near the car. I didn't need to do all that. But I was able to get, on my channel because my channel is about LGBTQ topics and about people that, and it's really sad because you can't get a officer, a Phoenix PD officer or a state trooper or any law enforcement, as far as I know, to really enforce that law. Even though it's a law and it is a hefty fine if you park in there. I've never seen anyone ever enforce it as of yet. I've heard stories about people that, you know, and I've talked to Quick Trip corporate headquarters about it. And I've had a couple of people at corporate headquarters over in Tempe, Arizona. They've told me that they, in the past, there's been times they have issued tickets, and hopefully they did. But obviously, I was not there. I think it's horrible that no one wants to enforce that law. I don't know if it's because there's people out there that are cold-hearted toward disabled people, or if they don't care. I always ask this: if you had somebody in your family that was disabled, you pulled into like a Quick Trip or a shopping center, and someone was parked in that space with no insignia on the plate, no placard hanging on the rear view mirror, how would you feel if it was your family member, your mother, your grandmother, and you couldn't park there because somebody else parked there because I don't know if they didn't feel like walking long distance or if they just decided that's where they needed to park. So yesterday we were at an auto parts store and I had to park far left side of the deal because the two spaces that are up by the door, there were cars in them and neither one had a plate, insignia, or a placard. Now, because it was so hot yesterday and I had to walk so far, um, I got wore out really easy. Time I got home, I took a nap. Now, I'm not trying to complain to like be. I'm just telling you that because somebody parked in those spaces that didn't really need them, um, for whatever reason, these individuals parked there at the auto parts store, and I don't feel they needed to, other than they didn't feel like walking that far. But it's okay for me to walk that far, being physically disabled. So I ask my listeners to think about if you had a family member that needed that space because I can't get around, and someone else parked in that spot, how would you feel? Would you be angry? Would you be mad? Would you be? How would you feel about that? So that's just something to think about. And you know, I know that there are some cold people out there who don't care about disabled people, and they don't really care. But I'm trying to reach the ones, especially the female audience, because me being a female, I know a lot of guys watch my channel, but I'm trying to be more female oriented with my channel as well. So hopefully, somebody out there can support my channel as well and subscribe. Um, but that's I hope you can do that. So anyway, that is one of the things I wanted to discuss. The other thing is that the hate that's going on right now toward trans people and that uh, most people want it to be LGBT without the T, and unfortunately, there's no community without the T. Marsha P. Johnson was one of the ones who started the Stonewall event. She wasn't the first one, she was one of the first ones. The second lady was a lesbian who started the Stonewall. So if anyone out there wants to know we why people that are part of the LGBT community uh, fight for equality rights, that go to Stonewall and look about it and learn about it and get to know for knowledge the reason why people fight for equality rights for the LGBT community. Now, right now, a lot of gays are blaming, listen to other people, and so they are telling trans people that they're blaming trans people for everything because gays are listening to other people that they should not be listening to. And everyone is believing the hype right now for what's going on. And just so you all know, being trans or being gay is not a mental illness, but being transphobic and homophobic is a mental illness. Now, I've made some posts, and some of you laugh about it. You have replies. Keep that to yourself. Because when you do that, you're just proving my point. So that's why I ask all of you out there to try to have a heart. Because you don't know what could happen or whatever. So, but if you have a heart when it comes to disabled people or LGBT people, please don't be judgmental. And unfortunately, because most of you out there say that being trans or being gay is a mental illness, it's not. But being transphobic, homophobic is a mental illness. A lot of you complain about, people in the LGBT community. And it's really, really sad that people out there are so. And what I don't get is right now we have an orange-headed buffoon in the White House, and you guys are worried about trans people. But you need to worry about the pedophile, the rapist, the felon that's in the White House right now. That's what you should be worried about. But a lot of you are worried about where trans people are playing sports, what bathrooms they use, and that's just wrong. You know, uh, the hate comments that I see on some of these posts, like Congress woman McBride, a lot of you call her him or Timmy, and it's not Timmy. It's Sarah McBride. Just hateful comments, you know, and it's either white Christian nationalist or it could be somebody that's a MAGA cult, something to that effect. It could be that. We don't know. But stop the hate and try to get along with everybody and don't, be worried about things that are important. Don't, and trans people are not grooming your kids. Nobody's doing that. And you all want to talk about DNA, you want to talk about chromosomes, everything. That doesn't matter. You all are just, you're not reading, you're not getting the knowledge you need to discuss that or to know for knowledge wise why people in the LGBTQ community fight for equality rights. And no, I don't judge. Most of you are judgmental, And if you're a Christian and you're judging another, then that's wrong too, because the Bible says, "Judge ye, thou shalt be judged." So basically, do unto others as you want people to do unto you. If you want to be rude to somebody, make nasty comments, make discriminatory comments, or be a troll, then you can do that and they will treat you that same way. But if you want to be nice, polite, be very politely spoken, that can go in a good favor. So thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Anyway, I'm going to cut this for now. I will talk to y'all later. And I hope that everyone has a good night and a good week, a good work week. Um, be safe and try to get along with everybody. And, have respect for people that are disabled. If you're not disabled and you don't have a plate or placard in your car to park in a disabled place, please be thoughtful. Again, like I said, think about what if you had somebody in your family who is physically disabled. You wanted to park in that space and you couldn't because there is someone else parked in that space without a plate insignia or a placard insignia. And because they parked there, you can't park there. You now have to find someplace else to park, and it's further away from the front door. Now, I'm hoping that sometime that I will witness a police officer ticket for somebody under ARS 283 and ARS 284. Think about that. I also want to shout out to Adam Gilligan. He's a YouTuber too, just started homeless, but he's in Parker, Arizona right now. I've been watching his stuff too. Um, really good videos he's doing. Interaction's good. So shout out to Adam Gilligan. Anyway, that is all for right now. I am going to leave. Stop the hate, stop the discrimination. Please go along and stay safe. Good night, everybody. This is your host, Peak Angel, 52-year-old female.